Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ken Miguel with Bolide Technology Group, and this afternoon we're recording this video as a training tool for our iPac NX NVRs. And this training will cover the 4-channel with 4-port PoE, 8-channel with 8-port PoE, 32-channel with 16-port PoE, 32-channel with 32-port PoE, and our biggest model, the 64-channel with 32-port PoE. So the purpose of this video, if you're a new or current Bolide user, so you know a little bit more about these units. They are very feature packed. I'm going to go through all the menus, what they do when you switch them on and off, how to set your schedules, playback, and so on and so forth. So let's start now. So upon starting these NVRs, this is going to be the first thing that you see. It's the startup wizard. Now, if you already know our NVRs, you know how to get around the GUI. You don't have to use this wizard, but if it's especially for a first-time user, this could be a useful tool. So let's look at this. Control this mouse. Look at this wizard. So here you can actually say, "Don't show me this next time," and cancel it to exit, or you can hit next. It will take you to the hard drive management. You can go ahead if you want to format a hard drive. You can select the hard drive here. Looks like I have a 1 terabyte on my machine and hit format. It will ask you for a password. Out of the box for NVRs have no password, blank. So let's hit login. Hit OK. And now you're formatting a hard drive. Let's wait until it hits to 100%. Then hit OK. Okay, and now your hard drive is working. Hit next, it takes it to network configuration. The way these NVRs are set up out of the box, you don't need to make configurations here. IP camera setup, we can deal with this later. It takes it to your record schedule. You can set it here or you can set it later. And lastly, it takes them to the system configuration. Very important if you're installing one of these NVRs to make sure that you set it to the correct date and time, so that way when your customer tries to play back video clips and they want to search particular dates and times, that is accurate. When we're done, let's hit save. Wizard complete. Okay. So now, once you're off the wizard, there's the first thing that you see, right? We don't have any cameras up, so we see this is a 4-channel recorder, so we see 4 blank grids. You right-click your mouse and you see these icons on the bottom. Let's go over them from right to left. So info, you'll actually get your device ID here. So if you know our NVRs, to get them online, you just have to scan the QR code. You can also find that QR code on this menu under info. Couple items here. MAC address, if you need it, it's right here. Model number, so on and so forth. IP address of the device is on here as well. So next is playback. So you can actually skip and go right straight to playback from the main menu. Very easy. I'll show that in a little bit. Next thing is mute. So if you have audio, we can mute it. If it's not muted and you have a mic or a built-in microphone on your camera, you can hear the audio through your monitor or speaker, as long as your audio is enabled under mainstream. Sequence. So if you're on sequence, this will stop your sequence. Preview policy. You get a chance to choose between real-time, balance, and smooth. It's set on balance. To be honest, this doesn't really make that big of a difference, so I would just leave it on balance. Stream switch. If you want to switch your stream. Right now we're viewing the high def stream, mainstream. You can switch to substream. Now in a case of live view on a monitor like we're doing right now, just leave it on mainstream. In this window you'll see your camera layouts. This is a 4-channel, so you can go with a quad view, or if you double click a channel, you will go to a full screen view. Once we have a camera up. Okay, so to the very left is the main menu. So let's go hit main menu. Okay, so let's read the icons at the very top. Parameter, record, search, device, system, advanced, and shutdown. Parameter is all your configurations, right? So let's go down all the menus under parameter. Under display, you have IP channels. So you'll see your IP cameras here. We will add, let's add a camera right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add a camera on the built-in PoE. Let's make sure that it's set to auto mode. So the switch mode on the built-in PoE, if it's set to auto mode, all you have to do is plug the camera in and it will instantly stream the camera. So let's go ahead and connect our camera to channel 1. Let's go back to our grids. Okay, now we have a picture, right? R means it's recording constantly. So let's go back to our menu, parameter. So now you see that channel 1 has been occupied. The NVR will give the camera this default IP address. So it's 10.10.25. And you'll see it right there. Okay, so under IP channels is live. Channel 1, you can name your camera here. You can choose the show name, time, the format of your time, whether you want a 12-hour or 24-hour time format. Display position, so this is moving your date and time on the screen around. Color settings of the NVR. Next is output. This is the menu where you can choose your recording or your output resolution. So right now we're hooked up via HDMI. So we have the capabilities of going high def. This is a 4K NVR, so I have the option to switch it all the way up to 4K resolution output. Just please make sure that you have a 4K monitor, because if you change it to 4K and your monitor doesn't support it, you won't see a video. So you have to be able to support the resolution. In this case, I'm going to leave it on its current mode at 720p because I want the text on these menus to really be nice and big and visible to you guys so you can read what I'm doing. Image control. So here, a couple neat features. You can mess with your camera's image settings. So you can do things like rotate or flip your image. You can do angle flip. You can enable WDR here and adjust its level. Scroll down, you got shutter control, white balance. Mainly what you really want to pay attention here is, if needed, the WDR is good to enable, especially for outdoor. Also, we've got here under IR cut mode, you have color mode. So let's say the application's lighting condition is good, where you can, if everything is visible, this camera can stay in color all the time. It does not have to go to black and white, if it doesn't have enough light. You can stay in color if you set it to color mode right here under image control. You can also set it to black and white mode. Why would you do that? If you want to use this camera as a license plate camera, you might want to switch it to black and white and then slow down your shutter. But you have options here. Instead of going through the camera's menu on the browser, you can do it on the NVR. Privacy zones. So these are privacy and masking, right? So we can do. Let's enable area setup 1. So let's check 1 and then hit setup. Now, if I draw a box, or if I draw this box here, let's say, okay, I want to mask this area. And then if I hit save, I have area 1, so now it's masked. You get 4 mask areas for this NVR. Okay, so you can draw 4 different squares separately. So that's display settings. After that will be record settings. Very important part of the menu. This is where you set your resolution, your schedule, so on and so forth. So first is record. Channel 1, record switch enable, stream mode, mainstream. So this is saying that I'm recording mainstream into my hard drives. Pre-record. Pre-record is the amount of time that the recorder saves, number of seconds it saves before an actual event happens. So it's set to 30 seconds by default. So if you're let's say on motion detection, it saves a 30-second time before, and you'll have that recording before your actual motion event happens. And if you want to make any change here, you can always copy channel 1 to all the channels or any channel that you want, and then hit save. Make sure that you hit save every time you make changes. You don't want to do all that work, and next thing you know, you didn't save your settings. Record schedule. So this is where you go, change your certain times or all your hours to either record all the time, set for motion detection, or alarm. So right now, under normal means it's recording all the time. Let's say I want to save hard drive space. I want to set this to only record in this motion. So I take my mouse, I go ahead and click and check all the grids. Then go ahead and select motion and do it again. Now I'm on motion detection. Then I copy for all channels and I hit save. It's that easy, right? So now I'm recording only when there's motion events. I can also do this where I can enable both normal and motion recording. So why would I do that? So let's say I want to record all the time, but I want to also record motion events, so that way when I play back, I can either choose to just go over all my recordings, or I can just filter motion events only. So let's leave it at this setting for right now. So mainstream, this is your high resolution stream, right? So I have a 4 megapixel camera hooked up here. So I've got my settings under normal, which is 24/7, and then event, which is motion events. So why are there two settings, right? So here you choose a resolution. Of course, you always want to set it to highest resolution frames. It's up to you. Between 7 to 20, works really well. Um, but let's say you want to save hard drive space, right? You can actually, in this, let's make an example. Let's do 7 frames on normal when times where it's just recording constantly. I can record at a lower frames per second. Then when there's a motion event, I can ramp up my recording to 20 as soon as something hits my camera. So this allows me to save hard drive space and not miss anything when there's actual activity on the cameras. Okay, video encode type, H.265 compression. That's the newest compression technology. All that's used for both the cameras and the NVRs. Bitrate, you can set for constant bitrate or variable bitrate. My suggestion was just to leave it on constant. Out of the box is on constant, so just leave it. Bitrate mode. So what's bitrate? Cameras or any network device take a certain amount of bitrate, right? And you can set the bitrate. In this case, 4 meg. So a normal record, 4 megapixel at 7 frames, predefined by the NVR. It takes up 4096 kbps. If you increase the frame rates, like in this case under event, 4 megapixel at 20 frames, now you're at 8192 kbps bitrate. So you can set this, you can lower this or increase it. The more you lower it, the more you kind of deteriorate the image. But if you leave it to what's been predefined by the NVR, then you're going to be running everything at optimal levels. Audio. So if you have a microphone, you just check audio. Make sure you do it for both mainstream and substream. Substream is your lower resolution stream, right? So why is there substream? Remote access is huge selling point now for security camera systems. If you connect this to your phone, the first stream that will come up would be your substream for functionality. So that way it will show on your phone. Mainstream as a whole, the whole system does take up quite a bit of bandwidth, uploading and downloading. And when you have your phone, you're looking at your camera system, you never know if you're in a good reception area or bad reception area, right? So that way, having it stream on substream first, you'll pull up your cameras, and then if you want to see one of your cameras on the full screen, or you want to get a HD, clarity image, then you can always switch the cameras individually or as a whole on your phone app to mainstream. But that's why there's substream. So you'll have a functional stream, especially on multiple camera views on either your phone or your computer. Network. So out of the box, so one of the best things about our NVRs is quick connect. So that means you literally connect this NVR to your customer's router, and it will do all the networking for you. So this is going to be, the NVR is going to be set to DHCP, so leave it alone here. When would you need to switch it to static? If there's ever a case where there might be a firewall, or they're specific to their ports where the network managers want to use specific port for this particular device. But you know, if it's for a small and medium business type customer, or they don't have VLANs or any or static IP address, more times than not, it will connect right away on DHCP. Switch. So this is the switch settings. Like we saw earlier, we plugged the camera in and it gave it a 10.10.25 scheme because that's where it's set to. And out of the box, it's set to that IP scheme. You can change this, but just not the same address as the LAN switch mode. So we set it for auto mode earlier when we were adding our camera, plugged into the built-in PoE. Anytime you're connecting camera to the NVR's built-in PoE under auto mode, it will automatically do everything. It's so easy. You don't need it. Literally don't need to do anything. You saw that. You saw the camera pull up in a few minutes after I plugged it in. So when do we switch it to manual mode? You do that if you want to add a camera on another switch or another network, or if you want to add another manufacturer's camera to this Bolide NVR. Email. So you can enable email notification, where if there's a motion event, the NVR will email your customer a screenshot of the activity on the camera. Okay, you can enable that. Enter the SMTP credentials for the email server that you're going to be using. One thing that I want to bring up is just to make sure to have a separate, a different sender email and then receiver emails. So these will be your customer's email that they use. They want to receive emails to. Just make sure that your sender email address is different from those email addresses. Intervals. So if you set your NVR to send emails constantly, this is the interval. You can send an email with every minute or every 10 minutes. If your customer do not wish to get emails at certain times of the day, you can actually switch you can change your schedule here. So in this case, green means motion. So let's say I only want to get emails from midnight until 8. And then I don't want to get emails during business hours. I can do this. And now I'm only send emails when there's not supposed to be anybody at my place. And you can copy this to your other channels and then save. DDNS. So if you somehow need DDNS, it's still available through Bolide DDNS or no IP. A lot of times you won't need this because of Quick Connect. Try that out. That's a feature that actually got rid of DDNS, but this menu is still here if needed. RTSP. This gives you the URL if you want to use the RTSP stream of the NVR onto a host or onto a server. You do need a server. It's a whole new training session in going over RTSP, but if you need to find the feed, it's located on this menu. So next is alarm. So alarm, the first thing on there is motion, right? So motion, you can enable motion on a particular channel. You can have the NVR buzz when there's motion activity. You can increase the sensitivity, 1 being the lowest, 8 is the highest. Area, you can actually take your image. So let's set up motion area, right? Anything that's shaded red means it's detecting motion. So let's say I only care about the left side of my screen, right? So that's my motion area, only this part of the screen. Or I want the whole screen to have motion detection, so I can just leave it like that. Okay. Post record means how long do I keep recording after my motion event. You can go from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. Last time is actually pre-record, so right now it's set to 10 seconds, and you can do up to 60 seconds. So if you want to do pre-record, you enable pre-record under record, and then your time, you can go ahead and pick that under latch time. Alarm out, if you have a trigger out, that's your settings for it. Okay, so show message means it will show a message when there's motion. Send an email, meaning it will enable to send an email when there's motion. Full screen means that you have 4 cameras. You had motion on channel 1. It will blow up that channel to full screen. And under record channel, meaning when there's motion on channel 1, it's recording on channel 1. Now, let's say I want these cameras to work in tandem. When there's motion on channel 1, I can actually record more than just channel 1. I can have all of my cameras record if I want. Then hit save. So be careful when if you have multiple cameras, if you copy channel 1 to all, make sure that you're recording to the proper channel. Alarm settings, so these are similar to motion settings, but your physical alarm triggers. Deterrent, these are special menus for special cameras like our floodlight camera. This controls actually the light and siren sensitivity, the type of spotlight, the light modes of the camera, schedule, and area. And here you have PTZ linkage. So this allows you to link motion and alarm settings onto a PTZ. Okay, so that's parameter. That's all the configurations for the NVR. Next is record search. This is playback. So there's a couple of ways to do playback, and they're both very simple. Number one is under general. We're going to go ahead and select the date. I'm going to hit play. So you can select date or select the time interval. And right here, we're recording. We're playing back. So I have this set to March 6th. And if I go ahead, I can on the bottom here, you have your intervals. The right, it's color coded. So yellow is motion. Green is 24/7 recording. You have intelligent triggers, in and out triggers. So if I do, I can zoom into like 30-minute intervals and just move around my timeline from there. Very, very simple stuff. I can, fast forward, pause, fast. I can actually cut clips from here. If I want to back it up. So back up, hit OK. And I can save it as a raw footage, AVI, or MP4, then hit save. So it's very easy to back up. I can do digital zoom into my image also during playback. How many cameras can I play back? I can play back all my channels if I want. I can have them do a synchronized playback, but just super simple stuff. That's one of the best features over NVRs. Another way to play back is events. So let's go to events. Let's pick a date today and then time or time interval. Let's hit search. So right now I'm pulling up all the video clips from today, which started when I plugged that camera in. I can actually play back the videos right there instantly under playback. And so I have all these clips. I can choose each one individually and hit backup, or I can select all I can select this, or I can select all and hit backup. Then now I can pick the format of my files. So it's very quick. This if you want to back up multiple files or half day's worth of video, this is probably the quickest way to do it. Another way to do it is to hit quick backup. And now I'm backing up everything that I have in my hard drive from today. So same thing. This is everything. Hit save, and I'm backing up. Okay, just keep in mind that we're backing up. 10 minutes video it takes long enough time already. If you want to back up a couple hours worth, days worth, it will take another couple hours trying to back up video clips. So these are large amounts of files, so just be patient. Or you can also do the backup over internet, over the CMS software, and that's probably faster than inserting a flash drive and being limited to USB 2.0 or 3.0 speeds. So that's playback, right? So it's very simple. Either do a calendar search or event search. Next up is device. So hard drive. I showed you through the wizard how to format your hard drive. If you want to skip the wizard, you do that through here. So device, HDD. We're looking at our hard drive here. So if I select, we'll check it and then hit format, and now it will format it. PTZ. So these are my PTZ controls as well as my protocol. So I can change, if I have a PTZ camera, I can adjust my baud rate and protocols here. Cloud. So what is what we call cloud storage here? So this is a integration with Dropbox where the NVR will send screenshots to your Dropbox, whether you want to set it for a schedule or have it send images every couple of minutes. It will save everything to your Dropbox. So let's say you don't want your email to get flooded with emails from your NVR. You can have it go through Dropbox and just log on whenever you want to see some of these images. Next is system. These are system settings. General, I showed you earlier through the wizard how to change the date and time. If you skip the wizard, this is where you do it. Change your date, time, your date format. You can choose between 24 and 12-hour format, language. We'll do Spanish and French. Video format, NTSC for North America. Don't change this. Europe, I believe, uses PAL, and Japan, but North America, I'll leave it on NTSC. Menu timeouts. So this is, if you notice, my menu was timing out when I was talking too long on this video, but you can have, if you have a password, you can have your DVR locked, every 30 seconds, and you can actually change that to 1 minute up to 10 minutes. So let's say you're worried about somebody hopping onto your NVR. If you leave, you can have a timeout, and then whenever somebody wants to control it back, the NVR back, it will take them to the login screen. If you put in a password, then the user have to re-enter that password. We also get questions, what if I don't want to keep re-entering a password? Then just either set your timeout for a longer period of time or just turn it off. Show wizard, so you can, I show you the wizard, you can have it not show every time you turn on or reboot your NVR. Daylight savings time enables daylight savings time. NTP, there's actually a very good way to make sure that your date and time is current to tie it to your NTP. User, so you can actually have up to 6 users users with different permissions. As an admin, you have access to everything. If you're an administrator and you want to set user levels and you want to, for example, disable or enable particular cameras, you don't want the user to access recordings, you can do that. Change settings, you can do that. So this is very useful. Let's say you have a business owner where the boss wants to make changes or playback, but none of the employees can. This is how you make that happen. Info is back here. Channel info, port info. You can see what's going on. Log, you can actually see the physical activity on the NVR. So this isn't the recorded video. If you want to check when the NVR was restarted, when somebody logged in, what user, you can see it here under log. Intelligent analysis, this is reporting for the analytics, and I'll show you in a little bit what analytics are available. So after system, you have advanced, maintain. These are maintenance settings. You can have the NVR auto reboot every week, every day. Is there a need for that? Not really, but if you choose to just refresh the network settings, you can have it reboot every so often. Events, so for example, the first event is no space on disk. So whenever the hard drive runs out, you can either send a message, send an email, have a buzzer, beep. Of course, it's going to keep overriding, so this only probably happens once. Important event type is disk error. Let's say your hard drive fails. You can have it send an email, tell you that the hard drive failed, or beep. Also, if you lose a camera, you can have it send an email, show a message, or beep when your camera goes out. Okay, so under intelligent analytics, these are the smart features of the NVRs, and this stuff is all built in. And you would, if you desire to use these analytics, just check with Bullet Rep, or make sure that the model number of your camera works with the analytics functions. So we have perimeter intrusion. You can enable this. Perimeter intrusion is an area. So if I want to create this box, I can set directions. I can send that as that could be my trigger. Instead of motion detection, if anybody crosses that line, I can have it either start recording, send notification, so on and so forth. Then you have line cross detection. So line cross is a trip line. Okay, I can either A to B, B to A, or both directions. If anybody crosses that, it will send a trigger. This could be helpful for like a retail store, and you can tell how many people or who walked in, who walked out. Maybe there's an exit that you can't enter or entrance that you can't exit through. Somebody goes that direction, it can send the trigger. Stationary object is loitering, so if there's an object that is somehow gets dropped off and stays here for a certain period of time, I can have the NVR alert. Pedestrian detection is human detection, right? So I can have this send triggers whenever there's a person on the camera. Oops, let's go ahead. So you can use either the top top 3 analytics or the bottom 3. So let's go and go back there. Disable. So that will essentially detect a person that walks in front of my camera. You also have face detection, which will detect a face versus a car. So it's more features that detects humans. And lastly, we have counting. So very neat feature. You can set a line right here, save, and it'll start counting. If you're looking at your camera on the upper left corner, that you'll see your ins and outs. So it's go ahead and set that. AB. So you see that I counted. So if I'm going from left to right, okay, so those are the intelligent analytics built into the NVR. Also under advanced, if you ever need to update your firmware, you can do it under update. You hit update, then you can go ahead and open up your firmware if needed, or we can do that. You can also do that remotely. Lastly, your last button here is shutdown. So to safely shut down your NVR, hit shutdown. It's going to ask you for the password. Then you enter your password and hit OK, and it will say it's safe to turn off now. So those are all the menus of the NVRs. Very easy to use, simple, straightforward. Lastly, so let's go ahead and left click on the camera, and you'll see buttons right here. Again, stream switch, switching from main to sub. You can actually start manual recording right here. You can tell the camera start recording now. This will take you straight to the playback. You can do a digital zoom. Run on the camera. Adjust your color settings, and then your PTZ controls. And there you have it. That's the ins and outs of the Bolide iPac NX NVRs. Very simple, straightforward, intuitive. I love this NVR. And I hope you guys learned something on today's training. And feel free to share this video with your colleagues, your friends, coworkers. Get to know this NVR. It has a lot of features, a lot of functionalities, and make sure you guys take advantage. You guys have a great day.